Good morning, everybody, and welcome back to the Celtic Way morning briefing for Friday, the 1st of March. Can't believe it's March already. My name is Ryan McGinley at the Ryan McGinley on the Twitter or X handle. Today I'm delighted to be joined by Tony Haggerty, Haggerty10 on the Twitter or X handle. How you doing, Tony? How you doing this morning? How was your day off yesterday?
Very well. Day off was good. Sometimes you need it, don't you? Getting older, Ryan, you know what I mean? I was going to say I need my beauty sleep, but that's long gone, you know what I mean? So, yeah, it was good. Good to have a wee switch off from it all.
Good. Thank you to everybody that's joined us so far. We've got people rolling in, which is absolutely brilliant to see. Today we're going to talk about I'm going to talk about the Hearts game, the upcoming Hearts game on Sunday afternoon that I think both of us will be at, as far as I'm aware. I think we're still waiting to hear back, but I'm sure we'll both be at Tynecastle on Sunday afternoon. Looking forward to that one. Yeah, before we get started, I will do the sponsor of this video, and all the videos are sponsored by MPH Group and Navien Boilers. All the links are in the description if you're looking for boilers, plumbing, heating, kitchens or bathroom work and Navien Boilers, then look no further than MPH Group. And if you're looking to support us just a wee bit more, please subscribe to the website, £4 for 4 months, £18 for a year, on www.celticway.co.uk/subscribe. On there this morning, we've got two pieces. There's a piece from me about Celtic showing that they've got the minerals in the title race. Let's see if they can keep it up or keep it going from now until the end of the season. And there's also an analysis piece from Alan Morrison that's talking about shot quality that was funnily enough done on Tuesday afternoon before the game on Wednesday. So yeah, make of that what you will. It's a very interesting insight into all the different into assists and shot creation and who are the better players at doing each category. So they're both available on the website. If you're interested, please have a look and please subscribe to the website if you are interested. Tony, got the small matter of Tynecastle on Sunday. Regardless of what form Hearts are in, it's always a difficult game. They always up their game against Celtic. What are your thoughts, your immediate early thoughts thinking about this game? Just two days to go until that game kicks off.
Can't wait. Love Tynecastle as a venue. It's just magic. And the atmosphere is always raucous. And Celtic usually rise to the occasion. So, and going back to one of their better performances earlier in the season, when Matt O'Reilly scored that cracking volley and Tomoki Iwata scored, Celtic battered Hearts 4-1. Love to see Tomoki Iwata rasp another one in like that.
Mm-hmm.
Remember, I think Kyogo had a couple of goals at Tomoki Iwata.
It was O.
I knew somebody. A couple of goals at Tomoki Iwata. He's a bang, top corner, brilliant. But yeah, that was one of Celtic's better performances this season. And say Matt O'Reilly's goal that day was excellent, got them off to a flyer. I think you've got to take the confidence from the last two games, haven't you? The comeback win against Motherwell, midweek's battering of Dundee, and Sean. I think they're up for it, and the reason I think they're up for it is largely down to the manager. He's taking bodies right, left and centre now, isn't he? Taking no prisoners, and he's just, I wrote on the site, was it last week or the week before, that I thought Brendan Rodgers was still the man for the job. Took a bit of stick from it from a lot of people, but I stand by it. And I said one of the best things that we have in this title running was the manager. He's came out swinging the past couple of weeks, and he's aware of everything. And he's, say it what you like, he created that siege mentality, which the players have bought into. And I'm enjoying what he's saying right now as well, Ryan. I really do. And join the way. And I believe the other day, I only read this on social media, but I think he kept the journalists back after the Dundee game and gave them a wee half-an-hour presentation. And I think he was sort of saying that the team aren't playing that differently from Ange Postecoglou's team, and he highlighted it by 4 goals from the Postecoglou era and 4 goals from his era, the second era, and they were all very similar. So he gave them a wee tutorial, and he did that before, where he at the end of the first season, Invincible season, he gave the journalists a presentation of his PowerPoint, what he said to the players the first day he walked in the door the first time. And I'm just annoyed that I wasn't at either of them, Ryan, because I would have loved that. What a beautiful insight that would have been. But, I think the bits between the teeth with everybody in that Celtic dressing room, if you create that siege mentality, then great. that whole everybody's against you, you just do it on your own. And to quote the manager, Celtic will write their own story in the next 10 games. And past couple of games, I think everybody's enjoyed what they've seen, and long may that continue.
Yep, absolutely. I didn't even know about that, holding the journalist back.
I read it on social media just before I came on. So, and
that would be very, very interesting. I'll need to double check that and verify
Yeah.
that. But if that is the case, that's very interesting. It's sort of like don't know if you remember a couple of years ago, Marcelo Bielsa with the massive PowerPoint presentation he did. I think that was after there was accusations of spying in the camp on Derby before the Leeds Derby game. I think Frank Lampard was in charge of Derby at that point in time. It was a bit of an uproar, and he just basically said, "I've got nothing to hide here. Look at the stats. Look at what I use. It's up to you to stop it, or up to the opposition to stop it." I like that for the manager. If that's what gets him going and gets him into this winning mentality and winning frame of mind, then I've got absolutely no problem with him doing these things. Just on this game on Sunday, Celtic. I don't want to get too much into revenge talk because I don't think that Brendan Rodgers operates like that, but Celtic were hurt in that last game against Hearts at home. That 2-0 was probably the bleakest it's been this season for Celtic, where the wheels completely fell off and Hearts basically did what they want for the duration of the game. Celtic tried to get back into the game, but they just did not have the firepower whatsoever. It was an awful game to be at, and it was an awful game to witness. I'm sure everybody who was watching it, wherever they were, whether it was in the stadium or in person, in stadium or on the TV, in stadium and in person, would be the same thing, obviously, unfortunately for the fans. But the people watching that, they would have been utterly shocked at what was happening. This is a chance to go to the same team, a team that haven't had the best results over the past couple of games, 1 point in 4, I think, against Rangers and Hibs, 2 big games for them this season. Hearts will be wanting to right that wrong. They'll be wanting to get more points on the board. But Celtic have got a job to do. They're in this title race. They've shown that they've got the bottle, as they did against Dundee and against Motherwell. So they've got a job to do on Sunday. Let's see if they can do it.
This title's coming down to bottle, Ryan. Said it the other day as well. I wrote the Brendan Rodgers spread about, Alex Ferguson famously said squeaky bum time. It's squeaky bum time in the fact that there was, boos emanating from the stand about the substitutions at Motherwell. That's just it's a culmination of things, and Brendan addressed that. And it's just everybody's on edge now. That the last 10 games is going to be the worst nerve shredders ever. Yeah, and you contrast the mood music in that Hearts 2-0 game that they lost at home that day. I think the word toxic was used, wasn't it? Contrast the mood music to the team getting cheered to the echo and to the rafters at half-time on Wednesday night, because that's been lying dormant in this Celtic team. The manager has told you that, and the players themselves have been capable of that all season, but it's just not been there. And I think that's the most frustrating thing, Ryan, because when they get it right, they get it right. And they got it ever so right on Wednesday night. And I think, Tynecastle, always a difficult game, but I think Celtic's tails are up when the players, to quote yourself, the players understand the assignment now, and they're going hell for leather for it, because there was no real let-up, was there, in the second half? I mean, they did create chances, hit the woodwork, goalkeepers had a few good saves, Daniel Kelly scored a wonder goal, so I think that pleased the manager too. He said that himself. There were still tempo and there was still pace, and speed in their game. Normally if you get 6-0 up, second half just tapers off, doesn't it? But I don't think lots of supporters felt that tapered off in the second half. I think they were still hungry for goal. Kyogo, I think you were annoyed at him for missing a chance. Or you didn't think he was at the races when he came on, So
I just wanted to see a striker that has clearly been, bettered by another striker in recent games. I wanted to see a response from Kyogo, and I didn't really see it when he came on. It's an opportunity to get in the forefront, because at the end of the day, Ange Postecoglou's away. He's not. Kyogo isn't automatically the first striker anymore due to Idah. Idah's been brought in because Brendan Rodgers has seen that there needs to be more quality added in that position. Idah's came in. Is it 5 goals? 5 goals in
Yeah.
6 goals, five goals,
Five.
five goals in 6 games, 6 goal contributions in 6 games. He's a player that's very much in form, and he's been in form since he arrived, basically. So Kyogo isn't the automatic first pick anymore. He's got to show that he's up for the fight and getting that jersey back, because at the moment it's Idah's to lose. I just wanted to see more from the striker. Felt like he was trying too hard. He's better when things just come to him naturally rather than trying to force the issue. But I'm not too concerned. I know that you can rely on him in the long run.
Yeah.
Still need to have that conversation when Celtic play Rangers. Who do you play? Because at the moment it's probably Idah.
Yeah, and speaking of narratives, I like the narrative that Kyogo's been written off too. I said it last week. You write the manager off at your peril, and you write Kyogo Furuhashi off at your peril as well. Kyogo Furuhashi will score important goals in this title race in the next 10 games. Mark my words, he will. Everybody will play their part, and Kyogo's still got a huge part to play in this. So, yeah, if people want to say that, that's it, or write him off, please do. He's too good a player not to come good in the next 10 games as well. And I'll say it again, I think, ironically, the way Celtic have played in the second half against Motherwell and that first half against Dundee, Kyogo would have thrived on that too, because the difference was the delivery and balls into the box, Ryan, which were low, they were accurate, they were hard to defend against. And so, yeah, and I'm pleased with what I've seen the past couple of, the second half of the Motherwell game and certainly the first half at Dundee. I think that's what every Celtic supporter's been crying out for. And if they can replicate any of that for them at Tynecastle, then you like to think they'll be all right. I get it that it's going to be a tough game and Hearts will dig in and they'll present a robust challenge, but you've got to win titles, Ryan. These are the games you've got to go there and, and win. Dust yourself off. And no matter how you win, whether it's a battle, whether you can go to Tynecastle and blow Hearts away like you did the first time you went there this season, but winning is paramount. And I think these guys kind of know that now. It's been drummed into them, not least of all by the manager, who, to me, is leading from the front and leading by example.
Yeah, there's a couple of comments coming in about me apparently bashing Kyogo. I'm not bashing Kyogo whatsoever. I just want him to get back to what he's good at, and I think a lot of people expect so much from Kyogo, including myself, because he's been doing it the past 2 seasons, and maybe it hasn't worked out for him as well this season, but still a good player there, still a player that you would trust to put the ball in the back of the net when it matters. Just saying, at this moment in time, Idah's got that jersey, and I think Idah's an absolute certainty to start at Tynecastle. I don't think there's any doubt about that whatsoever. And good for him, because he's worked at it. He's a loan player coming in January. No favouritism whatsoever from the manager. He's got in there due to hard work and showing that he can do it and making an impact when he was called upon. Coming off the bench against Motherwell and scoring those 2 goals, absolutely brilliant from the big man. And hopefully he keeps it going. Just looking at the last time Celtic played Hearts was at Tynecastle was back earlier on in the season. I think it was September, October time. Was it 4-1? The
4-1,
finished 4-1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I remember Lewis Palmer particularly having a good game. That ball over the top into Matt O'Reilly, and Matt O'Reilly takes it first time. That was one of Celtic's better performances. Are you hoping that Celtic can replicate that on Sunday, with maybe with some different personnel that was playing in that game, but personnel all the same that can hurt Hearts?
Template's there, isn't it? They've already been to Tynecastle and swatted Hearts aside. Go and do it again. You see, the personnel might be different, but you don't see, not so much a spoiler alert, but I think everybody will be of the inclination that the team that started against Dundee the other night probably deserves to start at Tynecastle. If anybody wants to make changes to that, then they need to let me know in the comment section, because I think it ain't broke, and I think those guys deserve to take it to them at Tynecastle, and you have every confidence in them doing a job, don't you? You know it's going to be, as I said, robust and challenging. Maybe that will suit Adam Idah. But I get back to the difference the other night was the fact that we get quality ball into the box, Ryan, and they looked dangerous every time that ball fizzed across the Dundee box, whether it came in 3 headers I think they scored, wasn't it? First 3 were headers.
Yep, all 3 were headers.
All 3 were headers. So Matt O'Reilly, great cross to the back post for Cameron Carter-Vickers. And then Adam Idah, back to goal with his head, still managed to corkscrew his neck muscles and power in a header, brilliant. And then the ball in from Greg Taylor, pinpoint accurate. All Matt O'Reilly has to do is just connect. You can't defend against that. See, when your football's played like that and it's with quality, you'll breach any defence. So, key, getting the ball to the wide areas is key, but getting the delivery in, and that's what Celtic have lacked recently. The wingers weren't doing that, or the ball's coming in from wide, and that's largely why Kyogo suffered this season to a great extent, because the ball in from the wide areas has just lacked quality. Because he still made runs, and he's no slouch in the air as well himself, Kyogo. He can spring, and so I just think there was lots of pleasing elements from Celtic. 45 minutes at Fir Park and in the Dundee game. So let's not lapse into the Celtic that played against Kilmarnock and Hearts and lost those back to back. Let's continue this at pace and continue this hopeful march to the title in the Scottish Cup, Ryan, because that's what it is. When we said it was 12 cup finals, now 10 cup finals in the league. So keep that approach, that whole batten down the hatches, siege mentality, loving it, and everybody coming out swinging and knowing their job and knowing what to do. And so, yeah, I don't see too many changes to that starting 11, if I'm being honest, but you never know, do you?
No, you never know. I was reading I was reading this Twitter account the other day, and it was saying that Celtic have only named the same team 3 times this season. There's been constant change, which in some part will help or not help towards any sort of continuity from the team this season. Constant changes. It's always good to have. I don't really think there's such a thing as your best 11 anymore. The way that football has changed as a whole, there's always going to be changes due to rotation and injury and etc. because of the amount of games that Celtic play in a season. But if you can get close to that 11, those 11 best players as possible, then you should be fine. There was a comment that just came in from Welsh Paul, and he was saying it's Happy St David's Day from Wales. You both still buzzing after Wednesday night, looking forward to Sunday. Tony, plenty of Welsh players played for Celtic in the past. Who is your favourite, would you say? Who's your... I mean, I know we've got John Hartson. You've got other players as well, like Craig Bellamy, Adam Matthews, Joe Ledley. Who was your personal favourite? And who was your favourite in the comments as well?
For long-termism, it would have to be Big Bad John. Just the way everything panned out with the medical across the city. Best medical he's ever failed, he said. And then went on to become a hero for us. For impact, I love Bellamy.
He understood it, didn't he?
That hat-trick at Tannadice is one of the best I've ever seen live from a Celtic player. He's got at Ibrox as well. And my only criticism of Bellamy would be that day in 2005. I won't refer to it, but you know what I'm talking about. And I think he and Hartson and others were guilty of missing gilt edgers at Fir Park, which would have won Celtic the title. And that would be my only criticism. But Bellamy was different gravy. And I was really... I knew we didn't really have a chance of keeping him, but, the hope sprung eternal. If you're talking about never fall in love with lone players, I mean, just fell in love with Bellamy from the start. And he just was... He showed why he played at that level, and just loved watching him. Just thought he was terrific. But Big Bad John, and a cracking person as well, having dealt with him. And John Hartson, you talk about understanding the assignment. Whenever you would watch Celtic in Europe and there was a mixed zone, John Hartson always spoke to the media. Win, lose or draw, John Hartson always spoke, and he respected what we did, and we respected him for that, and probably why he's ended up in the media himself, because he was just ever so kind with his time, and still is, and still a guy that I can phone whenever I need him, and if I really need him, he's always one of the good guys who'll get back to you and say, I'll do it, so, but just for And that kind of triumvirate, Hartson, Larsson, Sutton, never fails to put a smile on your face, does it? And you just go through the Rolodex of the goals that those three guys scored and the joy that they brought to you. So I think he's my favourite Welshman. And Welsh Paul, happy St David's Day, sir. I hope you're celebrating it in true style. But yeah, I would have to say Big John Hartson for me.
Not to make you feel too old, but that was a bit. I know I'm 26, but I got into football quite late.
Yeah.
It's kind of before my time. So I remember Bellamy ever so slightly, but the first proper Welsh player I remember the end of Hearts, and there was that period where Gordon Strachan was coming in, Celtic were perhaps downsizing, and they were changing about their players. There was a changing of the guard. The first proper Welsh player I remember watching was Joe Ledley, another guy that totally understood the assignment that was set of him. All action midfielder.
Yeah.
Proved that he could do it in the Premier League as well once he left the club. I think he left the club far too early, in my opinion. He could have been there for another 3-4 years quite easily and won so much more. But I actually met him a couple of years ago in a pub in Glasgow. Couldn't be any nicer, honestly. We had time for absolutely every single one of the Celtic supporters that were in and around the pub. So yeah, good to see that he's still doing well. And Adam Matthews was a good player as well. Always remember that goal at Arbroath, an absolute screamer. That's one of the, for a game that was so devoid of quality, that really set it apart. It was an absolutely incredible finish, and I thought he was quite underrated as well.
Yeah,
Celtic at that time had Lustig and Adam Matthews at one point, so a really strong position for the pair of them. But two really good players and two good signings, two cheap signings for Neil Lennon that certainly worked.
And Bellamy as well. It's not Bellamy, sorry, Ledley as well. There's been some cracking goals, but goals that have also been lost in the ether. See his diving header in the League Cup final, which Celtic lost against Rangers.
Yeah,
it was a brilliant goal, and Brian McClare scored two great goals for Celtic in League Cup finals, and they've just been airbrushed from history because Celtic lost. First one being in 1983-84 League Cup final where Tommy Burns dinks it over the wall and McClare catches it in the volley. It's just a brilliant set piece. And then another one, 86 League Cup final where he screams one into the top corner. Again, Celtic lost both those games, but they're just brilliant goals. And I thought Ledley's diving header that day was a cracking goal, but lost in the ether because Celtic lost the game. But really like Big Joe, and then his header obviously at Celtic Park when Celtic won 1-0 and they went top of the league that night. Good. I still look at that goal and think, how did he get his head on it? Because there's like hundreds of players there, but he's just up there, bang, and it flies in the net like a bullet. And another cracking guy as well, as you say, always kind with his time and decent fella, and and just guys that come into Celtic and get it, and they go away and they end up speaking well about the club and the supporters and love their time. And I love that, that they come up and they sample it for themselves and they get wrapped up in it and they become Celtic supporters for life after that, So it's I love what Ledley produced. I think he was a tremendous midfielder for Celtic when Celtic at a time were buying kind of the best of British players, as they say. They had a smattering of like Welsh and English players, didn't they? Gary Hooper, Joe Ledley, Adam Matthews, all that kind of stuff. So I think Neil Lennon, that was his kind of way about getting guys that would fight for the jersey and stuff, and they always certainly did that,
Not to forget one of my first favourite midfielders for Celtic, and I think he was some player before his injury, in Berham Kyle. I thought he was. Remember going and watching his debut. I think it was against Utrecht. He made his debut. He was the best player on the park by some distance. He also, and bringing that back to Sunday's game, he also had a good game. I remember in Lennon's first full season against Hearts. I think that was 4-0 or something like that. It was around about that scoreline. But he was, much like Yang was on Wednesday, he was applauded off the park at Celtic Park when he was getting subbed. A really, really talented football player who carved out a good career for himself down south, but always felt like he lost something after that injury that he suffered in the Celtic Rangers game. It's a shame because he was on his day. I think he was one of the best midfielders in Scotland. But that's what happens when you play football. I guess it was it is what it is. I guess.
Yeah, of course. I think Lee McCulloch challenge on him at Ibrox. Yeah, he never really forgave Lee McCulloch for that, did he? I don't think he spoke very well, Lee McCulloch, after that. But yeah, there's always those kind of sliding doors moments in football, and you think, what if he hadn't, got that injury, and he was coming onto a game. But yeah, that Hearts game in particular as well. But yeah, I think you just, as I said there, whenever you mention specific games, specific moments, or specific players, I say the Rolodex in mind. That's an old-fashioned thing, but I just, it's like they're all pictures in your head. It's like a Polaroid camera where you press the button in your head, and the picture develops. You can see it. Your mind goes back to it, and I always think that it's, when you speak about these guys, you hold them in the highest regard, because they played for the club and they gave their all, and they gave you some wonderful moments, and never to be forgotten.
So just bringing it back to Tynecastle, because I know obviously Celtic play there on Sunday, and I want to talk about that a bit more before we finish.
Sure.
You look at loads of games in the past that Celtic have had success at Tynecastle. A couple of years ago when Hatate scored his first goal for Celtic, the one that Craig Gordon just doesn't get anywhere near it. Yakimakis scores a back heel. I think that was that not his first goal that he scored since?
Yeah.
A fair while ago. It was his first goal when he was made the first choice striker due to the fact that Kyogo was injured. But a lot of people were worried about him going into that game, and if he could lace the boots of the striker that he was replacing in Kyogo, he did, and then some. But there's other examples as well of big moments at Tynecastle. I think of, I know in the end they drew the game, but remember Tom Rogic's absolute screamer. That must have been about 2015, 2016 time, when Tom Rogic was really starting to get in the groove of his Celtic career. You think he got Sinclair's hat-trick to win the league at Tynecastle. That was one of the best individual performances I've seen in a long time.
Stephen McManus's last-minute double, Odsonne Edouard's last-minute goal. So there's been loads of great moments at Tynecastle. That Stephen McManus game in particular, when Celtic were 2 down, and they won 3-2. McManus scored the header.
I remember that. He scored against
the header, and then he scored.
Was it at home or was it away?
In the cup, was it not?
Yeah. I know. I remember him scoring. Yeah, it was a good header.
So you can pick out a lot of great moments. So stage is set, and that night you talk about Hatate's first goal. I mean, that went in like a bullet. That was a howitzer, and I went home and watched it, and in slow motion, it was still going as fast as anything, and you're thinking, you're just no saving that. I mean, he's just caught it sweet, and and then obviously there was the 2-0 win, which clinched the league title last season, and so lots of great memories. But again, they'll have no bearing on Sunday, but you could create a great montage of Tynecastle moments, and if you want players to understand the assignment, just collate them together and just show that to them before they go out, And even the Greg Taylor game when Celtic won 4-3 under Ange, it was a brilliant game. And, the very first day VAR was brought in to Scottish football, and Ange's incredulous kind of, when Michael Smith handled the ball and he couldn't understand why it wasn't a penalty, that kind of stuff. The day Idah ran through and scored, and there was somehow the lines disappeared. There was no lines for that. All sorts of stuff. So, yeah, I can't wait for Sunday. Sunday can't come quick enough, because you just want the next one to come, because you feel that the guys are starting to shift through the gears, don't you? And then there was somebody mentioned it there, a Larson hat-trick in the snow at Tynecastle. How could you forget that? Yeah. Wonderful game.
Richard is asking me, did I miss out on Larson? I can remember tiny bits, really small bits of his career, but I'm very jealous of the people that managed to live it through in its entirety. I know you lived through it, Tony. You've got the copy to prove it. But it's a big game on Sunday. Always a big game against Hearts, regardless of the form that either team is in. It's second v third, actually. I was going to say first v third. That's wishful thinking. Second v third on Sunday afternoon. Looking forward to it. This won't be the only time that we're live today, by the way, guys. We will be live after the press conferences once they're all written up, to discuss what Brendan Rodgers has to say. Maybe some injury news, maybe some individual quotes on players, some praise, some players that maybe need to do more. All of that, regardless of what Brendan Rodgers says and the player that gets put up to the media, we will be live to talk about them. So please join us around about 4 or 5 o'clock, I would say, for that. If you are interested, then please join us. Can I get everybody to please, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the YouTube channel, completely free of charge. We're well on the hunt for 10,000 subscribers. We're about 500 or so subscribers from getting to that total. So we would really appreciate everybody that's in the comment section, or maybe watching but isn't in the comment section, to subscribe to the channel. You'll get free notifications as to when we go live with these videos, both morning briefings, press conference, pre-match, post-match, and everything in between. So please get involved if you are interested in keeping up to date with our channel. We really do appreciate all the support that you give us. Tony, is there anything else you want to speak about before we go off, or have we covered absolutely everything to do with Celtic and Hearts at Tynecastle?
I think we've covered most of the basics, haven't we? We'll, as I say, we'll be back on, so we'll be able to talk more about it. We hear the manager and players' thoughts, whoever is put up today. But yeah, I like that wee stroll down memory lane there. That was good, talking about Welsh players and great moments at Tynecastle. Just, there's never a dull moment talking about Celtic, is there? Let's be honest. And I think everybody's got the fervour back, haven't they? Passion was reignited the other night because everybody liked what they saw. And I think for the first time in a long time, Celtic fans are actually looking forward to a big game. And every game has that big game feeling now in the run-in. But this is quite a significant one, isn't it? So it's you just feel that. But you just feel after, I don't know, I think Hamish and yourself and I touched on it on Monday, that there's something about the win at Firth Park that you just thought that could be the catalyst in the moment, and you're hoping, and they certainly, went about their business well against Dundee. Can they carry it on? You'd like to think they can. And we will be doing our predictions and match lineups in the fullness of time, but I think you won't be surprised by the lineups, Let's be honest.
Yeah, that is very true. We'll be working on them today, and I think they'll go out about midday or so tomorrow. So keep an eye out for them on the channel, or on the website rather. Tony, thank you very much for joining me as always this morning. Thank you to everybody that joined us in the comment section. Even if you're not in the comment section, thank you very much for tuning in and watching. Please press that subscribe button if you are interested in keeping up to date. We will be live at around about 4 or 5 o'clock, depending on when we can get the press conferences finished. But there's 2 of us on today, so hopefully that'll be quicker. Thank you, everybody, and we will see you later.